Hi everyone.
Hey.
It's two guys with mics and it's episode 4 and we have some interesting stuff to discuss today.
We've switched things up too, you might notice. We're sitting on opposite sides.
And he's back in the studio because...
Back in the studio.
Yeah, we thought, you know what, that's just better for you guys and just gives a better conversation. So again, if you like what you're seeing, subscribe on YouTube, send us comments so we can improve what we're doing here for you guys, and hopefully it's fun. So where do you want to start today?
Well, normally we start with Trump and that whole thing. So you were just telling me earlier there's something more going on with the 14th Amendment?
Yeah, so like this 14th Amendment thing was like people were thinking, it's never going to happen. This for viewers who are not familiar, 14th Amendment is basically an amendment that says that anybody who's engaged in insurrection cannot hold public office.
Right.
So it's a 150-year-old law that part of the Constitution that was really put in after the Civil War, and is never really being used. But some legal scholars came out, some really prominent scholars have come out and said, look, the case against Trump is really strong. But people thought, you know what, by the time somebody actually makes it happen in court, it's going to take too long to be too late.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, right? You said that last time. Yeah. It's never going to happen. Yeah, it looks great. But what's interesting is that in the state of Colorado, some people have six individuals, 4 Republicans, 2 independents, have actually launched a lawsuit
to prevent him from being on the ballot.
Yeah, and so it requires in the state of Colorado that this actually get a hearing. Like, it needs to be addressed.
Sure, right.
So the Secretary of State in Colorado said, yes, we're going to address this thing. And so it's going to it's likely going to go to the Supreme Court pretty quickly.
I guess that's the thing, right? Are they going to fast track it? And obviously Biden would want to do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks like, if it's not this state, it's going to be multiple other states as well. So it looks like it's gaining momentum, that people are actually want to take this thing seriously. And so we'll have an answer, yes or no. But clearly by the Constitution, like, if it doesn't get disqualified, it would be basically saying this amendment doesn't mean anything. Because it's very clear that I
guess it just depends if it can get to the Supreme Court fast enough. Because it's definitely going to go to the Supreme Court. Because whatever Colorado decides, it's going to get challenged, and it has to go. Right.
So that's it. It could possibly move in over months, or 6 months or something. We could have the answer this year, because none of this stuff is happening. Won't matter till next year is when the actual election is. So stay tuned. I think that's
okay. So Trump has become a little less interesting for me right now. I'm fascinated by this guy Ramaswamy.
Yeah, I know our Hindu brother.
He is. We've got that clip. I don't know if you want to play it, but he is one of the smoothest talkers I've ever met, or I've never met him, but that I've ever seen. Like, I think he could sell. He
could send a used car.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to play a little clip here.
Church, does our family, when there is a Hindu temple available, will we go?
So I just want to put some context here. He's being asked. What's he being asked here? What's the person? He's at this conference, and the woman's asking him, how do you relate to Christianity as you're here as a Hindu? How can you something like that? Anyways,
Go for our collection of self to a church if that's the next closest available opportunity for prayer. Yes, we will. And so in our tradition, we say Jesus Christ is a Son of God. I understand that's different than saying He's the Son of God. But we share the same value set in common. And I'm not running to be pastor-in-chief. I'm running to be commander-in-chief. It's a different role, right? And for that role, I think we share the same value set. Thank you.
You got to listen to the end of this. Right.
I'm very impressed with you, because I think you act more like a Christian than most Christians.
Whoa.
Thank you for saying that. We have the same values, and that's why. Thank you very much.
So we didn't get to hear all of his thing there,
it was 2
minutes. But the impact that it had on the lady was just incredible.
Yeah, so I mean, this is a difficult question. Like, he was given a pretty hard question, and you could see he handled it really well. So he's really a smooth talker. Like, that's
very he's running as a Hindu, but somehow still managing to appeal to the Christian evangelists, right? Like, it's impressive.
And if he wants any chance of this nomination, he needs to get them on board. It's not easy. So I think all the kudos to him for that.
I mean, Trump also kind of pulled off a similar thing where he's obviously not very Christian.
He's a completely non-Christian.
He's a degenerate.
But this guy he may be religious. Who knows? He may be spiritual.
Right.
But he's not making any qualms that he's not a Hindu. He's just saying that Hindus and Christians share a lot of values, and that he can, it would probably not be a negative.
We were talking about this earlier, and you were saying that, he's just willing to say whatever and do whatever, right? I think You were talking about a scholarship?
Yeah. It was, let me play this. I thought this was really interesting. Well, I'll give a little context on that piece, and then I'll show another piece of the video. So he showed up on Mehdi Hasan's, who's an expert debater, who's an MSNBC broadcaster, interviewer, and basically it came out that Vivek Ramaswamy accepted $50,000 from a Soros scholarship when he was 24 years old. And then Mehdi asked him, look, like, you're so against affirmative action and stuff, why would you take this scholarship? And you made a lot of money. He had his tax returns, and he'd made like 600,000 1 year before that, and 400,000 before that. So he was kind of basically Vivek was really like caught off guard, like that he was asked this question, and he was basically caught in a lie. And then this other piece I want to kind of mention is where Vivek Ramaswamy had basically tweeted after January 6th saying that Donald Trump was abhorrent and it was horrible what he had done, and then Mehdi basically asked him straight out, like, tell him, what exactly did you do? What exactly did Trump do that was so bad?
Trump do,
no, I'm not avoiding
in your view, that was downright abhorrent? Second time
I think that the thing that I would have done differently if I were in his shoes.
It's not what I asked,
is
Vivek,
I would
with
have
respect.
declared
What did Trump do that was downright abhorrent? It's a
Yes.
simple question. It's your words. It's on screen.
I think
what
the
did he
fact-
do that was downright
I think-
abhorrent?
As you can see there, Vivek Ramaswamy really didn't want to answer my very simple question about his own views, his own words about Donald Trump from back in the day when he was willing to criticize him, which he won't do now, partly because of fear maybe, partly because he desperately wants to be Donald Trump's running mate. Either way, it tells you a lot about the modern GOP and how they handle Trump.
Anyways, so this is, I think, he basically got caught here, like that he wouldn't come out and criticize Trump, even though in the past he criticized.
But to be fair, he's not the only one.
No, they're all like
there's
this.
hundreds of people that
They're
have
all like
criticized Trump, and then all of a sudden
They won't.
But
But yeah, I mean, here's a very clear case. This guy wants to be. He's like the new flavor of the month. Like, he's so popular and like smooth talking, but you can see that, he's not willing to say what needs to be said.
this is not surprising. Like I think you would see this with all politicians,
Yeah.
and it's disappointing. It's certainly disappointing,
Right.
Right. It would be nice if politicians actually said everything they believed.
Yeah, no, I want to point it out here that he's not all perfect, even though he's
not perfect.
He looks good.
He's slick.
He's got the white teeth and good hair, and but he's got his faults as well, and so that's what I thought was interesting.
Okay, I want to talk about something totally different.
Yes, go ahead.
Have you ever heard of Noonoouri?
No, who's Noonoouri? Sounds like a noodle or something. Noonoouri.
So Noonoouri is an 18-year-old model.
Right.
Has about 500,000 Instagram followers and just got signed with a major label. The only strange thing about her, or the unique thing about her, is she's CGI.
Oh wow.
She's not a real person. Actually, can we play this clip?
Let's play this clip. See. Wow. Catchy song.
Just a little push, it's enough to start a chain reaction.
Yeah.
With some on the road, there's no turn.
So what's remarkable about this is she is a celebrity now, or she's becoming a celebrity. She's actually signed.
Wow, to a record label?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so do you think that this is the start of a new kind of celebrity, a new kind of star?
Yeah, because this person can be managed. I mean, all the celebrities are managed anyways. Like they're not real
Right.
per se, right? Like who was that one? One of those was that famous singer who basically changed her whole look and everything.
Hannah Montana. Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, who changed her whole look like after based on what the feedback was to get more popular. So I mean, in this case, they can do that very easily.
Right.
And these people aren't real anyway. So like these stars aren't real. So.
She's never going to age. She's always going to be 18.
Yeah.
And they can put her, like she can be in multiple places at the same time. Like it's quite a unique thing that we're seeing.
So do we have like any backstory on this person? Like where are they from? Like did they create the whole character or they just create this little piece of this person?
So actually, to be honest, I didn't look into it that much. I just saw the video and was quite fascinated. But I think like she has a little bit of a backstory. I forget where she lives, but
yeah, because that'd be really interesting if they can create a whole backstory. Then that becomes what's the next step is that these people become actual entities, just like corporations are people.
Right. Yeah.
Like there's no reason why this person is not an actual entity that has a legal right.
Wow. Can
Just
you
like
imagine
corporations
that?
have legal rights. Why can't this person have a legal right that they can't be defamed or they can't, have harm caused to them?
Okay, and now take it a step further. What if this you put an AI behind
Yeah.
this entity.
Right. It's not even
Now that entity or that AI could actually end up with legal rights.
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely very interesting. I think we're going to see more of this.
We will be confronting this, from ethics, from legal points of view, from all kinds of points of view, right?
Yeah. Since we're just talking about AI, I was listening to a great podcast by Sam Harris. His latest guest was talking about the impact of AI, and he was saying that we're at the point now where the white collar work is going to be basically taken over by AI. So a lot of jobs will be done by AI, and we need to start adjusting to people having a lot more leisure time and not be defined by their work, right? Like, for example, if when AI comes around and replaces a physician, what am I going to do?
What are you going to do?
What exactly?
More podcasts.
Yeah, I'll be doing podcasts until that gets replaced by AI too. But I'm just saying that's a major issue because we generally, we tend to introduce myself as Dr. Goel, or people tend to put a lot of meaning of who they are, their identity, as what their work is.
Yeah. No, the whole culture will need to change, right?
Right.
And obviously there's going to be some kind of tumultuous period while it changes.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess you're right, because I think, if you'd asked me 5 years ago, I would have thought certain jobs, there's no way AI is going to take that, right? Like a therapist or, creativity, like marketing.
It looks like creativity is also being done by AI really well.
Yeah, in fact, those are some of the first jobs, right? The creative jobs are some of the first jobs that are being affected.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, I don't know. How are people going to get paid? Like, are we going to go to some kind of universal basic income?
Yeah, I think this is. I thought that was crazy, but now I think there's really gaining momentum for this.
Yeah.
Like, there was a political candidate last year, the Asian guy who was basically talking about this, that that we should have universal basic income.
I guess a question is, what are humans at our core? Like, what is our true human nature? Like, if you were to go back to hunter-gatherer times, did we still identify with our role in that tribe, like to provide? Right? Is that like a core thing within humans?
Yeah. So
or can we actually get to a point where we're just like, no, we're good just because we're here, and we can just be okay with that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think this is like never been done before, because never had this situation happen where you would basically not have to do anything and you could have all your needs met. So. Yeah, unless you were like a king or something.
Right, but it sounds a little scary to me, right? Because, I don't know.
What would you do with all that free time? That's the question. Like, you could pursue some creative efforts, but it would have to, I'm not 100% sure what that could be.
Like, would we all just be doing hobbies? Right? I do think about this sometimes. Like, people knit sweaters, right? Mm-hmm. But obviously a machine can make a better sweater than you can knit. Exactly. Or woodworking, right? Mm-hmm. The machines generally do a better job, but we still do it because there's some pleasure in creating.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll just create stuff for the sake of creating it?
Yeah, it would be possible. I just don't know. This is definitely, it's a really interesting question that I don't have the answer on that one. I just think that let's see what happens.
Well, nobody has the answer, right?
Yeah.
The thing that I'm excited about is what an interesting time to be alive.
Yeah, I know. I would say we're in the best time ever.
Because this could lead to a utopia.
Yes.
Right? Or it could lead to some kind of dystopia. There probably will be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, because if people are just being fed content in their let's say house, hooked up to like a visor.
Yeah.
Then what type of life is that? Like, where you're constantly just being fed, content and pleasure, dopamine hit, dopamine hits is what you were calling it. What type of life is that? Because I think part of living, you can't feel pleasure unless you've felt pain.
Yes. Well, actually, there's a biological mechanism for that. There's this pain, pleasure
So balance. I think even that pleasure will become dulled because 100%. They're unable to feel pain. If you never have anything of difficulty happening to you, and you just get constantly whatever you want,
right?
Then what's the fun in that? Like, you can't even probably perceive that. You probably perceive that as nothing.
Actually, you can do a thought experiment, right? Imagine that everything in your life always went perfectly 100% to the way you wanted it.
Yeah.
Eventually, like it would be dull.
Or like the little micro things that don't go right would be horrible. They'd be like
you wouldn't be able to handle it.
Like, so what happens? These microaggressions, people are just like, oh my god, because they're just not used to it.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh my, I can't handle like anything somebody's saying, even like a small thing against me, or like.
So maybe is Elon Musk on the right path with his Neuralink, like where we have to just become connected to the computer? And I don't know, do we become like the Borg, where we essentially just merge into sort of one entity and all our brain power is used to explore the universe?
Yeah, it doesn't sound like utopia to me, though. That's what I'm saying. This is definitely going to be a major adjustment. And the issue is that I don't think that you can do this as retraining. They always have this kind of like retraining issue. Can we get people like in the knowledge economy? We're gonna we're gonna retrain people. That's impossible.
Right.
Like if somebody's 50 years old and you told me you're out of your engineering job, I'm gonna retrain you to do what? Like lift boxes in a warehouse? Because that's the only jobs that are gonna be left.
And well, those are going to be. I mean, robots.
Yeah.
We haven't really talked about robotics, but robotics are improving at a very quick pace as well.
Yeah. I mean, maybe cleaning toilet bowls might. Difficult for a robot to do right this
for now. I just read this thing this morning actually.
Yeah.
They created a virtual software company with I don't know, they had like about 20 different bots all performing different roles in this company. And they gave it a task to develop a software to do, I forget what the purpose was. But it was able to actually do it with all the different bots doing the different jobs, like coding, decoding, and I don't know. So I think we're going to see another inflection point once the AIs become proficient at writing software, because then they can improve their own software.
I guess isn't that already kind of happened? I mean, isn't there already software that they're writing their own code, or like I guess
a little bit, yeah. But I think as that'll hit a point where it's just going to explode.
Right. I know we were going to talk a little bit about last time we talked about India and the soft power of India, but they just finished hosting the G20.
Right. Yeah. Very important.
And which I think is pretty impressive. I know that somebody told me that whenever they went there, and all over the G20 posters were everywhere.
Oh yeah, like I was just there. It was Delhi was just covered with G20. They cleaned up, around the airport. I was pretty impressed. They really cleaned it up. They had sculptures and fountains.
Yeah.
So you put on a bit of a, it's a little bit of a lipstick on a pig kind of situation, because the rest of Delhi is still kind of less impressive.
Yeah.
So one thing I found, a few things about the G20, right? We were talking about, but they announced basically a U.S.-backed trade route from India, Middle East, connecting India, Middle East, and Europe, which is pretty much a direct competition to China's Belt and Road Initiative. I thought that was really interesting.
So who's paying for that? Like Saudi Arabia, UAE, like. Yeah,
so they're going to fund a lot of it. Europe wants to get in on it, and the U.S. is going to pay, and of course India. So again, coming back to the soft power of India, like India's sort of the new popular kid, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone wants to court them to create, I guess, a challenge to China.
Yeah. No, that's pretty impressive. So it's all going to be roads, or is it going to like rail, or is it both?
Yeah, so it's road, rail, and even digital. Like they're going to lay undersea cables and really create a connectivity. So the few things I found interesting about that. One is obviously the competition to China, but also how the Middle East, they see what's happening with oil being phased out. So they're repositioning themselves, I think, quite strategically. They'll be right in the center of this trade route. Become very important, so that they can become a massive finance hub.
I think it's very interesting. I mean, it seems like it's not getting enough attention how much money the Middle Eastern countries are spending on changing their economy.
Yes,
like it's incredible. Like they have, because they're the only people who actually have that much money. So much money. Like they're buying all the sports teams. They're like they're making these strategic investments to move away from fossil fuels. It's quite impressive. I think most people are not aware of how much is actually happening.
Yeah, their sovereign wealth fund, like the fund managed for the country, is investing in all, like, you don't even know, like they're invested in so much of the startups that are coming out. They're invested in, like you mentioned, sports.
Yeah, like golf, they're taking over that. They're taking over soccer. I mean, I think this is gonna.
Yeah, they're very smart.
It's very smart. So we'll see. I think this is like we worry about China, but I think we maybe have to start thinking about what the impact of all this power in the Middle East will be.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of talk, right? We're really moving from a unipolar world, which has been for the last little while, to multipolar.
Right. Yeah. I was listening to someone else mentioning how all the chips are being made in Taiwan.
Right.
At TMSC, I believe.
Right, TMSC.
Yeah. And so that's, the U.S. had recently passed a law that they're going to prevent the newest technology chips from China getting access to them.
Right.
So, but they're both to be made in NVIDIA and this Taiwan company. So I think this is a big issue. I mean, China's already going to be a couple of years behind, especially these chips.
Okay.
They're going to come in there. They could probably just take Taiwan. They might want to just do it just for that purpose.
They might, but I don't know if you've heard about the new phone that that China just launched.
No, I haven't heard that.
I haven't read too much about it, but it's so impressive that everyone's scrambling to figure out how China got that technology. So the U.S. is actually investigating to see if there were some leaks or somebody violated their sanctions.
Yeah.
But if you're China, you're not going to sit around and say, "Oh no, they're not giving us chips." Yeah. Like China has
I bet they'd have spies in Taiwan. They've already
Yeah, for sure. They've got spies, but then they've taken that knowledge and actually applied it.
Yeah.
So I think really in some ways what we did was we gave China a big reason to develop their homegrown semiconductor industry. Mm-hmm. Actually, so just quickly on that, so China's just launched this phone that's freaking everybody out with its technology.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, today I think Apple is launching iPhone 15.
And what's the features on that?
Well, the biggest feature is the price increase. That's their biggest innovation. But beyond that, what do you think? It's a
better camera?
Better camera, like more pixels on the camera, more pixels on the screen, and probably some new colors.
Right.
Like, this.
It's incremental changes with the iPhone.
Yeah,
it's not no game changer type stuff happening.
Yeah. So.
Apple doesn't never cease to amaze me though. You can't count them out though, because apparently they have a huge AI component that they're building, a huge thing that they haven't released yet. But
that'll be a game changer
because they control. If they can tie their AI into all their devices, they would automatically have huge control over.
Yeah,
people.
that's the one thing I'm waiting for Siri to get a little bit smarter, right?
Yeah.
Like if you could put ChatGPT behind Siri, I mean, how amazing would that be?
Exactly. Yeah. So I think let's see it, but I think iPhone 15 and that. I'm not going to update my phone.
No. Honestly, I don't even know which phone I have anymore. I think it might be the 13 or the 12, but it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, exactly. We were going to talk a little bit about the. I know I sent you an article about. Lab-grown meat. We're both vegetarians, so I thought, okay, you might be interested in this because you've been talking about wanting to potentially eat meat.
Well, okay, I'll tell you why. Really, sometimes I get jealous. We'll be at a restaurant and, the people I'm with are like, oh my God, this is the best.
Tasty. It's the best shrimp I've ever had, the best salmon.
Yeah, and you're like, what is it? Is it really that good? Or are these people just, they've gotten just used to this taste? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
And so, I would like to try it one day, but I find it hard. The idea of, actually eating like an animal bothers me. So the lab-grown thing, I think that I would be comfortable with that.
So how are they doing that? So this is basically cell cultures. I believe they're actually taking cultured cells of like animal cells and growing them.
Yeah. So it's still real meat.
Yeah, it's still real meat. So that's different than, let's say, these like Impossibles or whatever,
right.
Which are like
those are substitutes.
Substitute, but this is actual meat, so you can't But it doesn't come with any of the ethical concerns. There's no animal that's been killed.
Right.
No forest that have been cut down.
Well, so that's the big hope here is that the ecological impact will be much smaller than, actually, now it's common knowledge, right? Everyone knows that that's part of the environmental issue.
Right. That's one of the reasons. I became vegetarian because of the environmental impact. But health impacts. I wonder if this meat can potentially even be healthier, lab-grown meat, than actual meat because it won't have the hormones. Potentially won't have pesticides, and then they probably could, tweak the percentage of fat and so on and so forth. Like because again, per se, there's nothing like meat inherently is not unhealthy. Like it's I think it's really what makes it unhealthy is how it's maybe put together with other foods or how it's made. That sometimes the fried aspect or if it's put together with carbs.
I'm going to guess the really tasty stuff, though.
It's unhealthy.
And I want to try. That's what I want to try.
The Waco's steak.
Yeah. If I'm going to eat meat, I'm going to eat the unhealthy stuff. I'm telling you right now.
Well, I'm sure the lab-grown stuff could be made unhealthy.
One thing I just point out, we were talking about just on this topic, was veganism and vegetarianism is on the rise. There are more people than ever. But at the same time, the amount of meat consumed is on the rise. It's a paradox.
People are just eating more.
Yeah. I don't know. I read that and I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. So do you think a meat eater would want to eat lab-grown meat? We actually need to hear from a meat eater.
Please comment.
We have our Michaela here who's in the studio.
What do you think? I'm scared of it.
You're scared of it? Why?
I don't know, because I just don't know how it comes about. Because I know it's not a living animal, but I just don't understand how they grow meat. It's just weird.
Yeah. So the thought of it being lab grown kind of grosses you out.
Yeah, it's just odd.
Yeah.
I'd rather eat the Impossible Burger.
Right. I think odd is a very interesting. I think that's really interesting because
it is a little Frankenstein-y.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the feeling that this natural, but I think we're coming to the time when people won't be cooking food anymore in their house. I really feel like food is just going to be given to us. It's going to be prepared all
by the AI, AI robots.
It's going to all be created, and in effect, you might be having 15 vitamins with a couple of different. It'll all be time of the actual. Just sounds so awful. The time of the actual made food in your house, I think, is leaving. People are forgetting how to cook meals and a convenience, prepared meals. So I think lab-grown meat would be part of that.
Yeah, I get that feeling that the Frankenstein made in a lab. But the funny thing is, we eat so much stuff that's made in a lab. What the hell are Cheetos? I love Cheetos, but I don't know what that is. Yeah. It's some kind of weird concoction that they've made.
Well, I think about how many people live on protein bars,
protein
shakes and stuff. That's all processed. It's not, and we almost, I think, including me myself, how else am I going to get the calories I want to get and control all that without eating these foods that are already made?
Right. Yeah.
Very difficult.
Hey, sorry, on this topic of vegetarianism and veganism, why, maybe our viewers can answer this, why do meat eaters seem to really resent I've just recently, a friend of mine, he sent me a joke, making fun of veganism.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you the joke. Yeah. So a vegan and a vegetarian jump off a cliff.
Right.
And they want to see who hits the bottom first.
Right.
Who wins?
Yeah.
The answer is society.
That's a good one.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious, why? Is it because some vegetarians and vegans are so hey,
I think some of them are just we should ask Michaela as well this question.
Poor Michaela, we're putting her on the spot.
What do you think?
I think it's because a lot of sometimes people view vegans or vegetarians as extremists because there's organizations such as PETA and stuff like that take it to a whole other level. And then, I don't know, it annoys some of them that there's you're vegan and you don't want to eat meat, but there's a million trillion meat substitutes. So some of them see that as you want to actually be eating meat. But I disagree with that side because for instance, I was vegetarian for about 6 months and I appreciated the Impossible Burgers and stuff like that because it's not that I didn't want to eat meat. I enjoyed the taste of it and stuff, but again, because it was animals or even the I don't know, the effects on the earth and stuff like that. Sure. I didn't want to eat it anymore, right? So, yeah, they're just mad.
I think what we call the new vegetarians or the new vegans tend to become preachy. It's we say, the new religious convert, it's a little bit over the top.
Yeah.
As soon as you come in with this kind of I'm holier than thou, I'm better than you because I'm doing this.
Right.
That's a major turnoff, and I think I just recommend all vegans and vegetarians don't do that. You're in effect making it worse for everybody.
Yeah,
you're
true.
not helping the meat eater to save the planet by doing that.
Right. I think really what we should be doing is ensuring that there are good vegetarian and vegan options available. But yeah, we don't have to tell other people how to eat.
Yeah, I think it comes on its own, and I think the better the options go. It's amazing how many people actually prefer those vegetarian and vegan options. So I think the world's changing. Even in Japan, which is a huge meat eating society, we could still get some vegetarian food, which was I think impossible before.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's happening.
It's happening.
I think we might be done actually for what we wanted to make sure we talked about today.
All right. Well,
if everyone, I hope you enjoyed it. Again, subscribe on the channel, send us comments. We're looking forward to your thoughts on this, and we'll see you next week.